Test. Test 1, 2, 3. VA3KBC. Hello, radio. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, test 1, 2, 3. Let's see if we got some audio.
Sacramento one time, and the other engineer that was out there with me, I told.
Okay, let's call CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ 40 meters. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ 40 meters. CQ, CQ, CQ. VA3KBC. VA3KBC. Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie calling CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ 40 meters. CQ, CQ, CQ. VA3, well, not 40 meters. What am I doing? 17 meters. Let's do this again. CQ, 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 17 meters. There we go. VA3KBC. VA3KBC. Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie calling CQ on 17 meters. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, 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 17 meters. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, 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 17 meters. VA3KBC. VA3KBC. Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie calling CQ.
Whiskey 5, Uniform Charlie, mobile.
Okay, Mike, Whiskey 5, Uniform Charlie, mobile in Eustis, Texas, from what I can see here on QRZ. So call here is Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie. Name is Don, but I go by DJ Delta Juliet. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah, good afternoon, DJ. Nice to hear you. I believe we've worked before. Of course, I'm driving down the road and got no way of proving it, but the call and the name particularly sounds familiar there. But anyway, heard you call CQ a time or two, and want to make sure you knew you were getting out here in the state of Texas. Over.
Roger. I think we have spoken before. Mike, I usually log on QRZ Europeans and other parts of the world. I don't bother with North America anymore, so I wouldn't be able to look you up if we did. But in any event, the Eustis, Texas sounds familiar. Your QRZ page looks familiar. So and your picture, I don't know if it is familiar or not, but oh yes, yep. There's the boys play baseball. Roger. Okay, now it's starting to come back to me. Very good. Yeah, good. Yeah, believe it or not, Mike, we have 61 degrees here in Lambton Shore. I'm still Fahrenheit. A beautiful day. The snow is melting. So just a gorgeous day here, kind of making up for when we had that 2 and 3 below zero there a couple of weeks ago. And I am doing a live stream on YouTube. So you can look at that at a later date if you like. It'll be saved on YouTube. You can go from my QRZ page. There's links there. Or you can just do a search on YouTube with my call sign, and you'll find it. It's today's date, and I think I got something about 17 meters on there. I think that's, 17 meters today. There we go. So anyhow, back to you there, Mike. W5UC VA3KBC.
Yeah, very good, DJ. Well, very, very good. Sounding good down here in Texas. About a 5.6, 5.7 signal report. Audio's good. I kind of hate to tell you this, but we're sitting at 75 degrees. Clear skies and just a really nice day. Sound like you're having one too. I like to see these days warming up now. I'm about done with winter. It's not always up to me. But anyway, nice to hear you on. Just running 100 watts in the mobile today. FT991 Alpha and a ATAS 120 screwdriver mounted up on top of the cab. Well, I'll let you make some more calls there and get some more people there. Thanks for the information on the YouTube channel, and we will try to check that out when we get a chance. Nice to hear you today, DJ, and hope to work you again very soon. Good afternoon, 73 from W5UC Mobile.
W5UC Mobile, VA3KBC. Very good, Mike. Yeah, drive safe there. And I follow a family that's from Texas, Hayden on Harvest. Him and his mother start cutting wheat down in Texas at the end of April, 1st of May, and they work all the way up to North Dakota. So they had 2 combines. They just got another combine. So his dad, mother, and himself, all 3 will be running combines this coming season. So really enjoy watching the family. He does a lot of nice drone shots in the evening and has some nice music played to it, and it's in slow motion. So just beautiful countryside scenery in that, and really enjoy that. So anyhow, Mike, take care. Good talking with you, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again sometime. W5UC, Victor Alpha 3 Kilo, Bravo Charlie.
7-3, thank you.
7-3. QRZ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, 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 17 meters. CQ, CQ, CQ. VA3KBC. VA3KBC. Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie calling CQ.
Kilo 5 X-ray uniform.
Kilo 5 X-ray uniform. Danny in Conroy, Texas. There, got a good copy on you, man. You're booming in here. Name's Don, but I go by DJ Delta Juliet, and yeah, we are. What are we here? We're 1,144 miles separation. So, and I've got the beam pointed, pretty well at you. It's at around 225 degrees. So, got a good copy on you there, Danny.
Yeah, QSL. So, DJ, what kind of radio and microphone are you running over?
I have the Apache Labs Anan 7000 DLE Mark II, and it's the SDR radio, and I have the RE27ND microphone. The amplifier is the Australian VK3AMP running 500 watts, and the reason I got the VK3AMP on-door is a non-user as well. So he has the coupler built right into the amp for pure signal with the Anan Thetis program. And the antenna is the Mosely Signal Master. It's the Super 33. It's the 3-element tri-bander for 40 meters, 20, and 17 up at 50 feet. And I've got it kind of pointed towards you there, over.
Yeah, well, you're 30 over, a great signal, but your audio, are you up for some critique?
Well, this audio was set up about 4 years ago by N4QNT. We did TeamView, and he's got the golden ear. So I've never had everybody says it sounds good. Now, one thing you have to know, Danny, I am running 4K wide as far as transmit and receive, and maybe that might have some bearing on how you're hearing me. But the audio is the chain in, or the audio that's built into the Thetis and the Anan is a 10-band parametric equalizer and CFC. So I'm not going to touch it.
Okay. Well, you're a little shy on the mid-range is what I was going to tell you. You got lots of lows and lots of highs, but mid-range, which is where most people understand, and I was just looking at your audio on the scope. Great station. Well, wonderful station. That's unbelievably nice station. I'm just running about 400 watts and a hex beam pointed at you, and it's a Elecraft KPA 500, and I have a Yaesu FTDX 101 Delta. Over.
Roger. Yeah, I can see it also that there is a little gap there, and I'll talk to Art about that, see if we can maybe correct that. I don't want to touch anything because he's the one that's got the golden ears, so my hearing, running tractors back in the 60s with no hearing protection. We never knew about hearing protection back then, so so some of my hearing frequencies aren't the best. So I leave it up to Art there, and he can kind of fine tune. If he thinks it needs to be brought up a little bit, I'll let him kind of do. As I said, we'll do the team view, and he has me talking, and he goes in and makes those adjustments. If you look on my QRZ page, I have a what do we call that? Screenshot. There we go. Screenshot of the 10-band parametric equalizer and the CFC, so you can see what the settings are there. Over.
Yeah, QSL. Well, okay. I just wanted to give you that feedback. It's not a big deal. It's just I detected it right away. I noticed it. Excuse me.
Yeah, and your audio does sound very good, I'll tell you.
Yeah, this is a Heil PR22, and I did a lot of tweaking on the audio, and like your Anan, the 101 has a lot of room to adjust the audio too. But anyway, you sound great, and nice signal. Of course, like I said, you're 30 over.
Yeah, Danny, and I am live streaming on YouTube as we talk here too, and it'll be saved to YouTube afterwards as well. So you can either watch it now or you can look at it at a later date. And it's today's date, called 17 meters today. So you can check that out.
Yeah, QSL. Where is it? Is the link on your QRZ page?
Yeah, there's a link to the live stream on my QRZ page, and then if you just go to YouTube and just do a search for Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie, it'll come up. But there's a link on my QRZ page, easy to get to.
Man, you got the busiest QRZ page. There's a lot of pictures on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of links there along with the pictures. There's links prior to going down the page to where the pictures are. I have pictures of how we modified the tower into a fold-over, and then some of the assembly pictures of the Mosely beam. And then, there's a link there to the year in farming, and on that there's also other pictures from a bunch of other stuff. So, it's kind of my life story there.
At QSL, is that you doing the welding?
No, that was the neighbor. When I sold the farm, I sold everything, and the only thing I brought here is the compressor. And I didn't have a welder, but the neighbor next door here, he's a farmer, and he brought his welder when he bought this property next to us here. So I just had him. I drew up the plans and got all the materials, and he did the welding.
Yeah, QSL. Well, he's doing some. I'm looking at his weld joints, and they're pretty darn good.
Yeah, well, he worked in Sarnia at the plants too, in the what would be called, not the Welders Union, but the millwrights, whatever. I forget what union it is in Sarnia, but he worked in Sarnia, Chemical Valley.
That's some nice antennas you got up. What's the one big tall tower in the front? Are you just running wires from that? Is that what you're doing?
The one tower there, that's the one, the original tower I brought from the farm. I have a 160 meter resonant antenna, which is not showing there, on one side of the tower, and then I have an 80 meter doublet that I built back in May that's up there as well. And then my other tower is a 48-foot self-support that we made into a fold-over. That's where the beam is. So I've got 5 towers altogether.
Okay. I got to say this. You must be a rich guy.
Well, this is my only hobby now. We farmed for quite a few. Well, I not only farmed, I worked at a John Deere dealership, and then in the wintertime I also drove snowplow for the province there. So I did a lot of stuff. And, being my only hobby, I and the wife pushed me into putting this other tower up and getting a beam for it. So I just decided, I'm 72 now, and this is 4 years ago when we did the tower. No, 5 years ago. I'm sorry, 5 years ago. It's going to be 5 years. Let me straighten. Go back there. It's going to be 5 years. But I had papillary renal cell carcinoma. It was a cancerous tumor I had on my kidney. So they did a procedure called ablation, where they went in with 3 needles in my side and burned it off. So prior to that, my wife said, you've got that tower. Why don't you put it up? And because you never know when your time's up. So take advantage of it, get whatever you want, and enjoy things. So with her blessing, that's why I decided to do the Mosely. And, I did have a $20,000 Honda Goldwing when we were on the farm. I had to shop there and did a lot of AMSOIL oil changes and motorcycle tires and stuff like that. So nothing rich about it. It's just my only hobby. Some people have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 boats, fishing boats, and $5,000, $6,000 in tackle and rods and that. So this is my only hobby, and I'm enjoying it, and I kind of want to have the best. So that's why I've got the Anan and the VK-AMP and the beam in that over.
Well, you got another one I see now that I'm into, that Challenger 2 kit plane. That's a pretty nice little bird.
Yeah, I built that one, had that for a few years, then sold it, and I built another one for a friend. So I was into model airplanes too. I don't have any of those pictures, and we're into the tractor pulling. The tractor, we sponsored a D21. Plus, my own tractor I took to the tractor pulls too, just the county or the fair tractor pulls. But there's a lot of stuff that I don't have on my QRZ page. There is a link there, like I said, the year of farming. There's also other links there to the drag racing. Was involved with the Grand Bend Motorplex quite a bit. We sponsored a lot of cars. We also did the tractor pulls there as well, and did the pit crew radio show, part of the sponsor of that. So just a lot of stuff in my past, and now I'm kind of winding down everything and just kind of enjoying amateur radio, do a little bit of live streaming, and that kind of stuff, I guess. Kind of winding down from all the other high stress things that I've done in the past.
Yeah, Curacao. Well, I had a Goldwing like that too, only mine was blue. My wife would have never let me drive that yellow one.
Yeah, well, we put quite a few miles on it. We went to Woodburn, New York. We had friends there, so we would trailer it there and then ride around the Catskills. Holy moly, that was something compared to what we have here, flatlands. There's you can't pass there because it's just winding all the time, up and down, and switchbacks and stuff like that. But I scraped the pegs on that Goldwing quite a bit there when we were in Woodburn, New York. There, over.
Yeah, it's pretty twisty up there. I know what you mean. Yeah, we had a tent camper behind ours too, and we took trips everywhere. We put like 128,000 miles on that one. And then we bought another one, and we didn't put as many on it. But I'm getting old now, and it's a little hard for me to to hold that bike up. So I sold that, and I bought a Victory V95, which is a 600-pound bike, and I can hold that up just fine. But there's another commonality on there. The Blackbirds, I used to work on those. Over.
You're talking about the SR71, yes. I guess, really, Danny, that's my number one plane. My second would be the B-52. Third would be the 747. And then the fourth, the F-15 and A-10 Warthog. I guess that's about it as far as aircraft, but the SR-71, my favorite. That, at the very bottom there, that's a YouTube video there that is quite interesting. You probably already watched it in the past there, and that gentleman has passed away now. But yeah, the development of that and the engineering involved was phenomenal for that time of back in the 50s when that was developed. So very something that I don't think is ever going to be replicated, or maybe they have. I don't know, but yeah, it's quite a bird. I seen the YF-12 at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. It's the smaller version, but in any event, yes, there's quite an aircraft there. Over.
Yeah, QSL, I started out working on F-4 Phantoms radar missile guidance systems in Marine Corps, and then went to work for Lockheed and worked on the radar systems on the SR-71 and a few other birds. Over.
Roger. Yeah. There's a lot of history to that SR-71, and what they had was it 455 cubic inch Olds motors, engines that they used to fire to wind up the compressors on the SR-71s, and then inject TEB to get them fired up, because that fuel would not burn. You could throw a match into a bucket and it wouldn't ignite. So just a lot of stuff that just is unbelievable. So, well, that's interesting to actually talk to someone that worked on that. Yeah, and then they couldn't use certain material wrenches because it would scratch the plane and cause corrosion. So that was something they learned as well. So, yeah, it's quite an aircraft what they had back in the day.
Yeah, QSL. Well, we differ a little bit on their favorite airplanes. I like the F-4U Corsair, and I bet you can figure out why, being an old Marine. And the P-51 Mustang are my two favorite airplanes.
Yeah, those two. Yep. The F-4, back in the days when I was building model airplanes, I always liked the F-4 gull-wing aircraft, and always enjoyed watching Pappy Boyington, that show on TV. And but the P-51 truly is another wonderful plane. I guess I'm referring to more of the jets, of today, that something that's really phenomenal. I seen the B-29. Was it the B-29 or the B-17 that came into Sarnia? Oh, golly, what was that, 5-6 years ago? And they were giving rides, and Carol says, why don't you go, pay and get a ride? And I said, if I was younger, I would, but not today. So, but yeah, the old World War II aircraft was, again, ahead of its time. And that all started, back in World War I with the Sopwith Camel and other aircraft. And what is that term now, Danny? Necessity is the mother of invention. A lot of stuff was invented and through necessity very quickly because of the war effort and the necessity of getting things done, where without it, things would have just lapsed along. Kind of the same with the Apollo going to the moon and all the things that they invented to make the journey to the moon and landing there and then coming back home. So a lot of innovation and a lot, as they say, Necessity is the mother of invention. Over.
Yeah, QSL. Well, I got a couple stories about P-51s. I was working in Yuma, Arizona, in the Marine Corps, and we had a squadron that was the Aircrew Training Squadron. Well, right beside us was our club hangar, and on the other side of us was a fuel depot. And we were out working on the flight line on a F-4 Phantom radar, and I see 251s come into the pattern and land. And they taxied over to the hangar on the other side of us to refuel. And you'll never guess who got out of those two airplanes.
Well, it's on the tip of my tongue. I read his book. He passed away here a couple of years ago. Isn't that, you get to a certain age, Danny, and the memory's the first thing to go, and I don't remember what the second thing is, but, for Pete's sakes, you know who I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, it was Chuck Yeager and Jimmy Stewart got out of those two airplanes, two generals. They spent about an hour and a half signing autographs while they were being refueled. Over.
Well, Chuck Yeager was on my mind, but I never gave Jimmy Stewart. I knew he flew the was the B-17 or the B-29, but I didn't know he also flew the Spitfire, the P-51. I read a couple of Chuck Yeager's books. It was very interesting, and when he was at one of the, I guess, Air Force bases at the time, and the commander of that base was kind of a hard nose, and anyhow, I guess Chuck, how he got even with him was he had this brand new car, and he was always outside, kind of wiping it down, polishing it, and that. So Chuck took off one of the hubcaps and put some stones in it, put the cap back on. And so at the end of the day, the commander got in his car, started to drive away. He stopped, got out, walked around, got back in, drove a little bit again, got out, walked around, and then left and didn't know what was going on. So I remember that part of the book there. Over.
Yeah, well, I just met him at one time, and just got his autograph. There wasn't much of a conversation, but I've read a lot about Yeager. And then Jimmy Stewart, I watched all of his movies and stuff over the years. And he actually flew B-52s when they first came out, too.
Oh, wow. Oh, interesting. KK5XU, VA3KBC. Interesting. B-52s, yeah. He did that movie with the, I guess they were the B-47s or something at that time. High Command or something, so... but yeah, good actor, just a wonderful actor.
Yeah, break in 9 EVP.
Well, it's not my frequency, so I can't let you in. Maybe you can.
What's the call again there?
Yeah, November 9, Echo Victor Papa, Bruce in Palm Coast, Florida. Just listening to you guys talk, very interesting. But who else has got a P-51 and his license to fly is Tom Cruise has one. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Bruce. Yeah, well, it was actually in the movie. He flew that in the movie Top Gun Maverick, which I thought that was an excellent movie.
Yes, it was. And there was a little bit of CGI used, of course, but he really put those fellow cast members really through a couple months of rigorous training so they could actually withstand some of the jostling and G-forces they were going to hit in the actual flights. Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've watched the documentary on that several times. Yeah, the as far as coming up from vertical up between the two aircraft, that would never be allowed. So some of that was CGI. And the Gen 5 aircraft were CGI. But the rest of the scenes, they used the new cameras and had them in the cockpit at various locations. So it was still, I think, and I've watched a few F-18 pilots critique it, and they gave a lot of poo-pooing about this and that. Hey, it's a movie, guys. that's what they do, and then they had to make a story, so that's why they did it that way. But it was still great entertainment, and loved the aerial scenes, and it was a good ending as far as my wife and I were concerned there. Over.
Yeah, I'm curious about the gentleman who worked on the SR71. When you worked on that plane, was that really tight quarters that you had to get into, or could you take that radar out of the plane, work on it, and then put it back in? Go ahead.
Well, a little bit of both. We could drop the radar down, or we could get the parts down. But yeah, it was pretty tight. But that's the way it is working on military aircraft, really.
Yeah, there's a display down, and I go up to Omaha during the summer and fall, and there's a SAC Air Museum, not really on SAC property, but it's about 10 miles west. But they've got a beautiful facility, and they got an SR71 that used to be on the ground outside. Now it's inside and staged as if it's in flight. And before they moved it from the outdoor museum area, you could walk out and touch it and walk in, put your head in the wheel well area and kick the tires. And that was really a lot of fun where you could actually touch the thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, QSL, that radar was kind of different. One I worked on in the Phantoms was the air-to-air missile guidance system. That radar was to basically a down-looking radar that was used for spying, and it could read the label on a cigarette from 80,000 feet. Over.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, there's still classified documents that haven't been released on some of the missions, so they must have been flying places they weren't supposed to be.
Yeah, QSL, they had another quirk too. When they were taxiing, they would leak fuel like crazy from all over the place, and then once they got up and heated up, the plane would swell up and seal everything up. Over.
Yeah, that's right. And I had to rendezvous with the tanker fairly quickly. But there's a number of books that I bought from. Oh gosh, I can't remember the pilot's name, but he had 3 books out, all documenting his time in the SR71, and pretty amazing. But he really had no. Or the reel in the back really had no control at all. So if something happened to the pilot, they were in trouble.
Yeah, Bruce, that was Brian Schul, and at the bottom of my QRZ page, there's a link there to one of his videos. He gives a talk, and very, very good talk about his life and so on and so forth. Very emotional and entertaining. So if you want to check that out, it's Brian Schul. He passed away, I believe, last year. And anyhow, so the call here, Bruce, is Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie.
Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, is that the one where he's talking about the communications with the tower and they were doing speed checks? That's near the end of it, yes. Yeah, I know that. That's pretty funny. Pretty funny indeed. One of my big regrets in life is I used to go up to the Oshkosh, Wisconsin EAA air show, and they'd bring in, every year, special planes. Well, when I was there, they brought in the Concorde, but the year before, they brought in an SR71, and I kicked myself for not going up to that one. But the Concorde was something to see, too. Oh, my gosh. I don't think I've ever heard anything so loud in my life.
Yeah, I was there that year. I was an EAA member, so we got right on the flight line, my friend and I, and holy mackerel, that was quite a sight to see. And I paid the $100 to go have a ride in an F4 in the Ford Tri-Motor, did a circuit in it, and I forget what it was to pay to have a ride in the Concorde. They went to New York and then flew back, but I forget. It was quite a astronomical amount of money, but it was still something to see land and take off.
Yeah, I'm sorry, KBC, what's your name, please?
Yeah, the name's Don, but I go by DJ Delta Juliet.
Okay, and the other station, could you give me your call name, please, for the log?
Yeah, I need the same thing from you. I know your name, but I don't know your call. The call here is Kilo 5 X-ray uniform, and my name is Danny, Delta Alpha November Yankee. And I wanted to tell you, you were talking about the Rio had no flight controls. That's pretty much common in the Navy Marine Corps configuration. Even in Phantoms and stuff back then, our F-4 Phantoms, the Rio had no flight controls. His only recourse if the pilot was done in was the Martin Baker ejection seat. Over.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, interesting comments, Danny. Yeah, the call is November 9 Echo Victor Papa in Florida. The name is Bruce. Bravo Romeo Uniform Charlie Echo Bruce. And DJ, I was also going to mention, the very first part of the Maverick movie, where he's taking that one jet up for a super fast ride. That was pretty close to one of those more secretive Air Force jets, I think, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah. The Aurora. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there with that. But Danny, I'm just redoing the title on the edit here on the YouTube stream. So you worked on the SR71 in what capacity? What were you, a mechanic, or what was you called?
Avionics. I worked on the radar.
Okay.
Danny, did you work on the electronic countermeasures at all?
Yeah, ALQ 100s, 126s, all that kind of stuff. Yes.
I mean, back then, were they pretty effective, or were they pretty primitive?
Well, back then, I would say they were effective. One of the things it could do is when one of the radars painted signal, the ALQ 126 could make your signal look like 23 airplanes in different places.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's amazing. I know in some of the pictures I have, it shows on the chine, it shows a little bump, and they said that those were part of the ECM things. But my goodness. Were the electronic bays inside the airplane, were they just jammed full, or was there a little room in there to maneuver?
No, not much. You had to pull panels and pull them out basically most of the time. Over.
Oh boy. Well, that's did they require a lot of service, or were they pretty hardy? They could withstand a lot of that harsh environment they were in.
Well, I'll give you an idea. I went to 6 weeks of intensive Navy school, 10 hours a day, just to learn to solder so that they could stand a 7 or 9 force G force.
Interesting. And did you have to have a special, I'm sure you did, a certain level of classification, or there had to have been some secrecy to some of your work, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, I had high top secret security clearance.
Wow, my goodness, very, very interesting. And were you able to take through your career working on these planes? Did you have some pretty nice pictures you took?
Well, yes and no. We weren't allowed to take pictures. Over.
Yeah, Brian Scholl was the only one that got any pictures.
I asked the question, but I think I knew the answer even before I finished. So, DJ, go ahead.
KG2 Aran Mobile.
Yep. Hey, Mike. Yeah, just hang on a second, Mike. You're really booming in here, Mike. Yeah, Brian Scholl in that talk that he gives, I have on at the end of my QRZ page, he talks about that. He was about the only one that was allowed to take any pictures. Anyhow, go ahead there, Mike. You're really blasting in here into Lambton Shores, Southern Ontario.
Roger. Kilo Golf 2, Mike in the Mobile here in Florida. Just wanted to jump in there, say hello to you, let you know you were S9 Plus down here in the Jacksonville. Go ahead, there, DJ.
Yep, same here. Yep, I see you posted on the stream there, so you're off to work then.
Oh, no, I'm still here. I'll be getting off in another 40 minutes, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just sitting here in the car. Nothing to do right now.
Roger, Roger. You're picking up, Danny's in Texas, and same with Bruce. He's in Palm Coast, Florida. You should be able to hear both of them.
All right, well, let's see. Danny, this is Kilo Golf 2 Mike. How copy? Go ahead. Let me get your call.
Hi, Mike. It's Kilo Golf 2 Mike. The call here is Kilo 5 X-ray uniform. Over.
Kilo 5 X-ray uniform. Okay, you're not as strong as DJ. You're right here next, not too far from me. About a 5 and 7, 57 to me here in Jacksonville, Florida. Name is Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, kiss out, Mike. I'm not pointed at you. I'm pointed up at DJ. I guess I could split the difference.
Okay, well, no, don't worry about moving the beam. I'm just hanging out for a few minutes here. Just wanted to jump in and say hello. But I got you in the log there for the first time, and hopefully we make contact another time there, Danny. Well, you take care. Nice to meet you. Kilo 5 X-ray uniform. This is Kilo Golf 2 Mike.
Yeah, okay, Mike. There's another one. Bruce is down there in Florida with you, so I'll let you get him. Kilo Golf 2 Mike. Nice signal for mobile. KK5XU.
Roger. Yeah, I'm working conditions here is the FT891 and the ATAS antenna. All right, good to meet you. Let me see what the other station there. If he hears me, this is Kilo Golf 2 Mike.
DJ, I'm not copying the other station hardly at all. He's just at the noise level.
Okay, yeah, Mike, you guys are too close. He says you're in his noise level there.
Roger. Oh, yeah, I kind of figured that. Okay, in Palm Bay. All right, no problem, DJ. Well, go ahead and pick it back up. I'll be listening and enjoying the show. You guys have a good one. This is Kilo Golf 2 Mike in the Mobile.
Okay, 7-3 there, Mike.
Yeah, DJ, I'll throw this out to you and Danny. Did you hear the story, whether it's true or not, I don't know. When they decommissioned the SR71s, they supposedly drained the oil out of the engines and had them rev them up and seize up so no one could ever use them again. Some of the pilots refused to do that. Do you know if that's true or not?
Never heard that.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, man. That's the first I've heard it.
Well, they also had other ways to disable them.
Now, NASA had one or two, didn't they, for a while?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you're right, DJ. I think they did for experimental purposes.
Yeah, high altitude stuff. They had them for a couple of years, I believe.
Yeah, and I think they finally abandoned those too. So I don't think there's any flyable SR71s around anymore.
Yeah, I tried to get a ride in one. I did get rides in Phantoms, but I never could get a ride in the 71.
Did Kelly Johnson ever get a ride in one?
I don't know.
I think he did, if I remember reading something about that, Bruce.
Well, it would have been a shame if he didn't. But it's the other thing. There's a SR71 on display up at Hill Air Force Base in Utah, and they got a ladder you can climb up and actually gaze into the cockpit and so on. But now I know at the time electronic gauges weren't really a thing, but it's amazing how many analog gauges are in that cockpit area.
Yep. And speaking of getting in the cockpit, I was in a C-130 Hercules at the London, Ontario Air Show here. But also in 1985, when we went to Hawaii with Appen Tours with Ward Air, it was a 747. We were there for 22 days, and when we came home, we left Oahu. I think it was about 5 in the afternoon, 5:30. We got up to altitude. They served us dinner. And I moseyed upstairs, and I said to the stewardess, now remember, this is 1985. I said to the stewardess, is there any chance I can get into the cockpit? And she says, well, I don't know. Let me go ask. So she went into the cockpit, came back out. She said the pilot and the co-pilot and the engineer are having their dinner. After they're done, I'll bring you in. She says, well, sit down here and just wait and have a drink or something. So I did that. So about a half hour later, she came and got me. I got to go into the 747 Ward Air cockpit, flying back home to Toronto. It was 9.5 hour flight back home, and it was already starting to get dark, and I couldn't believe how cramped it was in there and how noisy it was. The pilot looked at me and kind of nodded. The co-pilot said hi, but the flight engineer, this is when they had flight engineers, they don't have them anymore now. I talked to him for I was in there probably 45 minutes talking with him, and finally decided I guess I better kind of get out. So that was kind of a once in a lifetime experience.
Now, if you tried that now, you'd probably wind up in handcuffs.
Yeah, well, as I said, because I had heard of people going up and getting into the cockpit, so I just thought, what the heck? And like I said, this was 1985.
Well, one quick story about somebody mentioned B-52. DJ, it might have been you. About 5 years ago, they had an air show, annual air show at Sac Air Force Base, just south of Omaha. And we got there early and heard this tremendous noise across on the other side of the airport. And it just kept getting louder and louder. Then I took my binoculars. Well, it was a B-52 warming up. And that guy must have warmed up for a good half an hour. And then he taxied out down to the end of the runway and took off. He was not part of the air show. I guess he was just a stopover. But that was, of all the jets that I saw that day, that B-52 was probably the most impressive.
Roger, I stood under the wing of a B-52 at the London Air Show, and I talked to the pilot, and he said that when they were told that they were going to be coming to the London Air Show, first thing he did was to check to see how long the runway was, and he said to the commander, he says, I'm not sure we're going to be able to make it in there, and he was told, you got to make it in there. So he said, we flew down here, and he says, that my first attempt, I had to throttle up and go around, and he says, the second attempt, I dragged her dirty as could be and just squeaked her in here. So, but I was standing under the wing there, the wingtip where the little wheel is there, and talking to him. So it was quite interesting being able to converse with them in that. But so yeah, it is a huge aircraft.
Yeah, Danny, did you ever work on a 52?
No, I never. I was in the Marine Corps. We didn't have B-52s. When I worked on the SR71, it was after the Marine Corps as a civilian.
Okay, well, very good. Yeah, one of the guys in my golf league back in Omaha is an ex B-52 pilot, and he can talk about a few things, but some of it he still can't talk about. But you know, DJ, the way that thing lifts off, it just goes down, and then it doesn't go vertically. It just kind of lifts off the ground, and away it goes.
Oh, I know, really cool. And those the landing gear kind of can crab too, so that the aircraft can kind of crab into the wind, but the wheels are going straight. So, yeah, very interesting design. Well, when it comes to security and not being able to talk to anybody, Danny, when I mentioned about going to Woodburn, New York, to a friend's place to ride their Gold Wings, there's actually a picture of him on my on that link, The Year of Farming. If you click on that, there's all my P-base pictures, and Luther was his name. He was a Vietnam veteran pilot, shot down, had a eject once. He was also the marshal of the town. He's got pictures of, oh my God, Billy Ray Cyrus, Donna Summers, Willie Nelson, and that. He was kind of security for them when they were in town. And anyhow, he also CIA for 6 years. He worked in Malta. So he couldn't tell me a whole lot. He told me a few things, but he says, if I told you any more, I'd have to kill you. And I said, no, Luther, that's fine. I don't need to know anything more. So, but yeah, I can imagine the interesting life that he had. So, but he's passed away now. He had a stroke and passed away. So really miss the guy. He was one of a kind, I guess you could say. And when I met him, it was on the Goldwing board. I was looking to buy a Goldwing at the time, and I found this board for him, I guess you could say. And you know, they had the 1500 and the 1800, so I kind of posted on there, what do you guys recommend? You know, the 1800 or the 1500? You know, and the reasoning why. And of course, guys were posting the reasons for the different bikes and that. So this Bulldog guy messaged me and said, give me your phone number. So I gave him my phone number, and he called me right away, and he said, Donnie boy, he says, I don't know what your finances are, but if you're going to get a bike, get the 1800. ABS brakes, electronic fuel injection, and all this kind of stuff. So I took his advice, and we became friends. Golly, I don't know how many years we went back and forth, and I happened to mention to him, I said, Luther, whatever attracted you, why did you become my friend? He said, Donnie boy, you're the younger brother I never had. So I always thought that was kind of special to have him as a friend.
Yeah, that's cool. Kilo 5 X-ray uniform. If you guys want to have some fun, you need to come visit me. About 8 miles from my house is where the Confederate Air Force is. Over.
Roger. Yes. VA3KBC, bottom of the hour. Very good.
Yeah, they're in Conroe, Texas.
Now, didn't they just lose, was it the 17 or the 20? Yeah, there was a 17 they lost there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 17 and a fighter plane, they collided midair.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if something happened medical-wise to the fighter pilot, that aircraft there, just because I watched the video quite a few times from different angles, and something wasn't right.
Yeah, he pretty much flew right into him. The timing was off or something. But he cut that B-17 in half.
Yep, sad.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just saw it this afternoon. Have you seen that video of almost a collision there at Midway with a Southwestern jet?
Yeah.
In for a landing, and it had the wheels on the ground, then all of a sudden here comes a smaller jet across the runway. He was crossing an active runway. Well, the Southwest jet pulled up very quick and did a go-around, but they're trying to figure out how that one little jet was wandering across a active runway with a Southwest jet just about ready to land.
Yeah, on one of the hams that I'm on Telegram with, Signal, I should say, Signal, he posted that that had happened. And one of the other guys, actually Mike's friend, is also an airline pilot. And that aircraft that crashed in D.C., he had piloted that aircraft before.
Hey, Bruce, you were talking about noise. Or no, it was DJ that was talking about noise and destroyed your hearing. Try an aircraft carrier flight deck with 80 jets turning all at once.
Oh, I know. You know who, I remember years ago, I forget what we were discussing, but it had to do with operations at an airport, and then working in a machine shop, and all different occupations. And it's very stressful at an airport because of the noise in that. And I know in the machine shop you have a lot of noise too. And And some of the best machinists are actually deaf people, because they're not distracted, and they're not having that continual noise in their ears from all the machines and that. So they're very calm all the time. And when with our environment, whether you're on the farm or working with aircraft or whatever the case may be, you get into an area that's dead quiet, and it's such a peaceful, relaxing thing. I remember the John Deere 7720 combine I had. The engine was right beside the cab there, and it was fairly noisy. Like, it was quiet, but still enough noise that at the end of the day you were really exhausted and beat. And when I traded that for the 9500, the engine was at the back, the cab was a lot quieter. Boy, at the end of the day, you got out of that thing almost as fresh as when you got into it. So noise really does affect your ability to work and maintain any sanity, I guess. So having ear protection back in the 60s, we never knew anything about that. So anyhow, that's life, though.
Yeah, you try working on a radar system or avionics system, and on a flight deck, and there's a jet right beside you at full power, and you can't tell it's running. That's how noisy it is.
I seen some of those videos where someone was sucked into the jet engine on an aircraft carrier, and it was just like a doll getting sucked in there. But fortunately, he wasn't killed. He was close to the blades, but it didn't kill him.
Yeah, I never saw anybody sucked into the jet, but a guy walked into the cod and it took his head off with the prop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube videos that show, there's one in particular where, I don't know how the guy filmed it, but he was getting ready and he was going through all the preparations on deck, and someone telling you what's all happening, and that's it's quite a dance they do on the deck, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah, QSL, well, that flight deck is under constant video, and everything is recorded. You can see when the forestall caught fire. It was John McCain's airplane. He was not in it. He was not responsible. Everybody wants to blame John McCain for the big fire that burned up 300 men and stuff. But actually, one of the ordnance guys was loading it up, and stray voltage set off his Unipod, and they daisy chained, and the whole place burned up. Over.
Oh my! Yeah, there was one other video I saw, Danny, where again, this is in the cockpit, where he's about 15 miles out, and he's landing on a carrier, and he shows how he lines up and so on. And I think back to the days where I had a pretty good sized boat, and coming into a slip, the same thing. You know, you had to line up and make sure you're going right into the slip, not to your side, because you run into another boat. But you know, I couldn't imagine landing on a moving ship, and this is at night, and trying to hit that deck, and then you know, they're used to it, but it's an amazing process. This is N9 EVP.
And
yeah, Kilo 5 X-ray uniform. Well, if you talk to the pilots, they say they don't land. It's a controlled crash.
Yeah, and don't forget those aircraft carriers there. The landing is at an angle too, and the ship's going one direction, and the angle is you know, off a few degrees, so that you have to compensate for that as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of aviation, and I'm sure the first time one of the pilots does that landing, it's a little white-knuckled, I'm sure, but they certainly do a marvelous job.
I'll tell you what, I was in a Marine Corps squadron, and I was there on the early advanced unit to set up for the pilots to come in, and they have been training by catching a hook on on a runway, and they came in for their first landing on the aircraft carrier, and it was quite funny. The guys that did the arresting wires would cuss and said, "Damn Marines, here they come," because they're trained after they hit the wire, they go to full power afterburner, and to make sure that if they missed it, they could still take off. And they would hit the wire and catch it, and it'd sit there, with afterburner running for several seconds to make sure. And those arresting guys would say, "Damn, they stretched the wire again."
Don't they replace those after every 100 landings?
They don't replace it every landing, but if they get stretched like that, they do.
No, I said every 100th landing.
Yeah, well, I don't know the numbers, but they do replace them often. But if they get stretched like that, they go ahead and replace them.
Okay, Roger.
There's 4 wires, actually. They're supposed to try and catch number 3.
Roger.
I've had friends that had sons or friends or whatever on the carrier, and they'd have those Tiger cruises where they could bring relatives on, and they said it said their jaws just dropped when they did flybys or when they did launchings from the carrier, but said it was an experience they'll never ever forget.
Yeah, we used to stand behind the JVD, the jet blast deflector, and see who could stand there the longest when they were launching jets off the carrier.
Well, something too. Didn't those deflectors deflect some of the heat away too, so it didn't? I thought I heard where if not, the deck would be so hot it would almost burn your shoes.
Yeah, Kiss Al, it does. That's what it does. Is it deflects it away, but it circles around and it gets to you. You can only stand back there about 15, 20 seconds, and then you got to run.
You guys, being that I was involved in the drag racing deal, sometimes they'd have at these events they'd have these jet dragsters, and one of them was a semi-truck that had a jet engine in it, and I think it was an F4 Phantom engine in that truck, and I was standing kind of at the back, and I'll tell you, there's a bunch of us standing there, and just firing it up and just having it running, we could barely stand there, and once he hit the afterburner, he was just kind of going pop, pop, pop. Yeah, then we scattered because the heat was just unbearable.
Well, I've been blown off of the aircraft carrier flight deck twice and blown down 7 times by those guys.
Roger. Just changing the subject a little wee bit. I've watched on YouTube. We subscribe to a lot of YouTubers, and there's one called Smarter Every Day 2, and Dustin there. He was on submarine, and that was really fascinating to be on that submarine and kind of go around and just see what it's all about. And he also went to the computer that controlled the Saturn V engines. He went to the guy that designed that. So you just have to go and to do a search and look for Smarter Every Day 2, and then there's those videos there. There's also a Smarter Every Day. That's another good one. That's his as well. The Smarter Every Day 2 is got a lot more technical stuff, but Destin there, it's really, I think you kind of get an enjoyment out of watching that. And like I said, he experienced more of the world's first nuclear-powered submarine, and then the computer that controlled the Saturn V rockets. So just really interesting stuff that he does.
Yeah, to answer your question, Bruce, no, I was caught in a net on the side.
Danny, the other video I saw just the other day was after he landed, they pointed him towards the bow of the ship. That's where he was going to rest his aircraft at. Well, the wheel is way behind where the pilot sits. So when he gets on there and swings that jet around, he himself is actually over the edge of the ship. He said, if you look down, you see the ocean, but he swung that thing around and, of course, lines it up perfectly. But I had no idea that on that particular jet, the wheel was so far back that if you're not used to it, it's really something.
Yeah, Curacao. Well, I tell you, in the Marine Corps, there's I don't know how to explain it, a thing between officers and enlisted guys. But I tell you what, if you go through a bunch of those missions, after a while, you get a lot of respect for those officers that are pilots. The fighter pilots are pretty impressive guys, and some of the stuff they have to do, you got to have a big pair. Over.
This is N9 EVP. Were they arrogant at all, or just very accomplished?
Well, you had a mix of them. Some of them were really nice guys, and some of them were arrogant jerks. But most of them were pretty nice guys, really. Once they made major, they calmed down. When they were lieutenants, they were a pain in the butt.
Well, listen, guys, it's about 3:45 here. I need to sign off here and do a little something else here. But listen, it's very enjoyable talking to both you guys. Very knowledgeable. And it's always fun to listen to stories about aircraft that I've seen and read about, but actually talking to people who worked on them is very interesting. I have run across a number of guys here, not on this band, but somewhere that were, SR71 mechanics or had something to do with it. So it's always fun, Danny, to hear some of those inside stories of what you can tell that aren't classified. So anyway, gentlemen, thank you for letting me in. It's been very enjoyable. Have a great rest of the evening. Danny, I'll turn it back to you. KK5XU with VA3KBC on the side. This is N9 EVP in Florida. 73, gentlemen. We'll see you later.
Well, Bruce, hold the door open. I got to go do something, too. N9 EVP and VA3KBC. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys, and hoping to run into you again. Kilo 5 X-ray uniform is going to be clear. God bless.
Roger there, guys. Yeah, I'm going to stop the stream here. That's one thing I love about 17 meters. I seem to run into a really good group of guys that are very knowledgeable and just a lot of fun to talk to. So anyhow, you guys can check the stream afterwards if you like. And yeah, God bless both of you. And hopefully we can do this again sometime. This is Victor, Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie. Live long and prosper. And I'm going to be shutting the stream down, and I got to go upstairs and get something to drink. So 7-3, Victor Alpha 3 Kilo Bravo Charlie is clear.
Yeah, I agree, DJ. It's so nice to actually have a conversation rather than the signal report 73s and you're on to another queue. So 73s, N9 EVP clear.
Roger, roger. That's why I like 17 meters. You meet some of the nicest people and just really good conversations. QSOs, as we say.